Alrighty, let's talk about Jordan Peterson. I know this has been talked to death by everybody else in my side of the internet, but I've been gone for 2 weeks, so I'm playing catch up. And I'm sorry if any of this is redundant because I'm having to play catch up, but you'll be okay. It's all right. You've got this, I believe. But before we talk about Jordan Peterson, we probably need to talk about something very important. The fan art section. The first one we have here is from Pernia. And if you don't recognize this scene, you need to watch more good anime. Moreover, you probably already saw this scene once on my channel. You know. You've probably already been here. At least once. Potentially for 10 hours. Because I kept that on. I don't know what compelled me to make a 10-hour-long video. But I was compelled. But after that, we have another official channel artist who has done some fan art. This one is from Salem. And it is Beach Male Slime Suris with an inflatable hammer. But you're right. That's probably TOS. It's showing too much nipple. You're right. Don't worry. Salem's got you and the nipples covered. Though awkwardly looks less translucent in the new one. But still. Said, wait, you've seen this one too? Yes. The fan art section is open to all. Yeah, we needed to put bikini on. Otherwise, we would have been breaking TOS. And that would be bad. The last one we have, the last bit of fan art we have here is from Avalon of Babylon. Forgive me, chat, for I have sinned. It's another fucking coin! So I hear you don't have any neck coins in your wallet. Shame that. Stop drawing me as coins. So with that said, as always, everybody, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future episode, please consider dropping into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, one last thing. If you haven't subscribed already, hit the like button, maybe even checked out Patreon, consider doing so. All of those things help the channel out way, way, way more than you know. But with that, let's get into the very important video that Jordan Peterson released recently. We need to pick it apart. We need to go line by line, stanza by stanza in his dialogue, because as you know, as you've heard from every Jordan Peterson fan ever, if you haven't listened to every word he's ever said, ever, from the beginning to the end, then you can't judge the things that he's saying. You don't know him. So let's make an effort to know him.
Hello, everyone.
Yep.
I don't know exactly how to have sex since I wasn't informed.
Oh?
I'm probably doing it wrong.
Probably.
No doubt. I owe some apologies for that, and I'm trying to learn. I don't have sex with girls. I would rather die than do that. I might also just be gay.
Yeah, probably.
Who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days? First, breasts. And second, come. That doesn't exist, by the way.
Cum does not
serious
exist.
Disease.
It's true.
Delete. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so there's a lot of substance here. There's a lot to talk about. I need to get into the diatribe of the viscous nature of cum and how cum is part of the methodological substrate of our very nation. There are stories told of masculine men in our nation that can be boiled down to a bucket of cum and breasts. Killer Fox Gaming, thank you very much for the follow. Stop, your family is home. You're going to cry laughing. We can all talk about cum together. Oh my God. But in all seriousness, it is very strange to me that Jordan Peterson himself was not able to readily admit that he was gay in this. I understand that despite having a daughter, it's probably very important that he admit that if he doesn't feel a certain way about breasts and he just happens to like guys, and that's okay, despite what his best friend Ben Shapipi might say about... Oh, I just... Oh, that's awkward. I'm sorry. I've just been informed that was the wrong video. And that actually there's a 15-minute long one we have to suffer through. We can't talk for 20 minutes about the substantive nature of Jordan Peterson's cum dialogue. I apologize, everybody. I understand that this might be a different show than you were looking for. But that's okay. We'll get through this together. Saris Wolfhime, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an ara. You fucking monster. Also, Naki Bree, thank you for redeeming your points for an owl. Owl. You're right. I should be viewing this video instead.
Hello, everyone.
Yep.
A few days ago, I penned an irritated tweet.
Yep.
In response to one of the latest happenings on the increasingly heated culture war front.
Culture war front. First of all, we're going to speed you up to 1.5 because I need you to be a little bit faster. I need you to be faster, harder, longer. You can be uncut. It's fine. Docking is okay.
In response to the decision of an actor named Elliot Page.
That was deliberate. Those were definitely deliberate.
I am employing this awkward and impossible naming style because it is now apparently mandatory and am probably doing it wrong.
Wait, how is it impossible? What is impossible? You just say somebody's name. Like, how is that impossible? What's impossible about that? Yeah, I know he did it on purpose. I'm trying to figure out what's impossible about using somebody's name. Like, what's hard about that?
Nonetheless, as you're doing it wrong is the whole point of what is being made mandatory. But also, I'm trying to make a point. I've essentially been banned from Twitter as a consequence.
You've not been banned from Twitter. You're back on Twitter, my guy.
I say banned, although technically I have been suspended. But the suspension will not be lifted unless I delete the hateful tweet in question, and I would rather die than do that.
Jordan Peterson, famous logical man, famous person who people look up to learn how to properly clean their rooms. Jordan Peterson would rather die than delete a tweet that violates Twitch terms of service or Twitter terms of service. He would rather die than do that. He would rather alivent than delete a tweet. That's who we look up to, apparently. I wasn't aware that it didn't matter. I wasn't aware that Twitter was so important, that our lives were worth less than tweets. Well, I'm glad to know that that's the case, Jordan. Glad to know.
And hopefully it will not come to that, although who the hell knows in these increasingly strange days. What was it that I said that caused such a fuss? And that fuss is just beginning. And even more importantly and complexly, what exactly was it that I said that resulted in the ban? Here's the tweet in question.
Okay.
Remember when pride was a sin? And Elliot Page just had her breasts removed by a criminal physician.
So, what did you do? You claimed that a doctor who did a basic plastic surgery that we generally give to anybody who's suffering from breast cancer in any case anyways, doing his job makes him a criminal. You also talked about somebody who doesn't really exist anymore, as Elliot Page hasn't gone by Ellen in a decently long time. you're violating Twitter's terms of service, terms that are there to lower the amount of chaos and increase the amount of order on the platform, something that I believe you should care about. Also, hi, Salem. We recently showed your bikini artwork. It was very lovely. It should be noted, Jordan Peterson, terms of services are there to increase order, and you are a person who loves law and order, from what I understand. When you violated those orders, when you violated those terms that you agreed to when you hopped on the platform, this is what happened. Give me misgendering or give me death, Jordan Peterson, allegedly. Yeah, you may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, or gender identity. Oh boy, and you did that. You also said, remember when pride was a sin? Peterson, I understand that you are not Christian, but when we talk about sin, we're talking about an affront to God. I have a question. Peterson, Jordan, what are the wages of sin? Just curious. If anybody here happens to be learned in the Bible, what are the wages of sin? Can somebody tell me? Because I seem to be forgetting. I seem to be forgetting what the wages of sin are in the Bible. I am uncertain. But maybe you can let me know in the comment section below.
Then a link to a story that detailed out the happenings. The response from Twitter, quote, violating our rules against hateful conduct. You may not promote violence against, threaten, or harass other people on the basis of race, ethnicity, national origin, sexual orientation, gender identity, religion.
Congratulations, Jordan. You know how to read. That's surprising.
Affiliation, age, disability, or serious disease. By clicking delete, you acknowledge that your tweet violated the Twitter rules. Delete. If you think we've made a mistake, submit an appeal to us. Please note that, should you do so, your account will remain locked while we review your appeal. Let's take this apart. First, it is clearly the case that I did not promote violence against or threaten anyone with my...
You did, actually, when you called it a sin. I'm sorry, but, like, when you use that language is loaded, my guy. Like, that language is loaded. Also, you don't have to promote violence expressly or threaten someone expressly for misgendering to be against Twitter's terms of service. In fact, actually, I'm 90% certain. Let me open up a new tab real quick. New tab. Twitter TOS on misgendering. Yeah, he did harass at that point, and he also categorized the surgeon as criminal. You may not use your username, display name, profile to engage in abusive behavior. And then we do a Control F for gender. Because that's easy to do. Oh, wow. God, it was that fucking easy, Jordan. It was that easy. It took that much time. I Googled this in real time because I knew it would take me no effort to find this. I knew this would take me less than a minute. I knew it for a fact. Jordan Peterson, you have the ability to make a bibliography, right? You know how to cite a source, right? That means you know how to look up information. That means that you had the ability this entire time to look at this and understand that you violated it. It would have been that easy. And instead, you decided to make a video bitching about it. Congratulations. Said, is it purposeful and hateful misgendering? Just purposeful.
My missive. So that leaves the arguably lesser sin of harass. Let's assume, since I wasn't informed, that that was the crime. And further, harassment on the basis of so-called gender identity. Since Twitter did not do me the favor of actually specifying my crime, and there are many possibilities on that front, we unfortunately have to...
There are many possibilities. You're right. There are many possibilities. 10-second Google search. Many possibilities.
Guess at why this has occurred. And that's actually a big problem in and of itself, and also indicative of the utter carelessness of the Twitter organization with regard to the propriety of its own censorial actions. I should at least know exactly what I did wrong. If I...
Huh. It's right there. It's right there.
I'm required to acknowledge that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. What rules, you sons of bitches?
Those ones. Those ones right there. Those ones right there. It's right there. I'm sorry, Jordan. It's the rules that you're concerned about. They're right there. They are right there. I don't know what to tell you, but they're right there.
Exactly. Precisely. Because such things matter when the accusations start flying. So what did I say that might constitute harassment? Well, many things, hypothetically. Let's begin with, remember when pride was a sin? Although that is merely a factual statement, because under the old rules, applicable even a decade ago, pride was a sin and had been recognized.
Under the old rules. Let's play your game, Jordan. Let's do that. Let's play your game, because I love this game. What rules, Jordan? What rules? Specifically, what rules? Which rules, Jordan? Which ones? 10 years ago? When? A decade ago? What rules, Jordan? Which ones? Please tell me. Which rules? Which ones? It's very easy. It's very easy to play this game of throwing the softball out into the fucking void when you're making up all the rules on your own, Jordan.
Recognized as perhaps the cardinal sin for thousands of years previously. It still might be regarded as unacceptable to the woke authoritarian moralists who now insist, for example, that we celebrate Pride Month, not hour or day or week, but month. And
if it was Pride Day, you'd be just as mad. If it was Pride Week, you'd be just as mad. It arbitrarily being a month, that's a fucking smokescreen. It means nothing. Also, nobody says you have to celebrate Pride. But queer people who do get to celebrate Pride get a month where they can do things like come out of the closet, and it's a lot more normalized for them. Yeah, make it Pride Year to piss them off.
who have literally called it Pride Month instead of LGBT plus month or whatever else alphabet acronym which is currently insisted upon as the only acceptable enlightened terminology.
LGBTQ plus. Most people are okay with just saying LGBTQ plus. Takes a quarter of a second, rolls off the tongue after you've said it a few times. LGBTQ plus. That's it. That's all it has to be. Aha, look, it's the alphabet people. I forgot how acronyms work because I am intellectualist Jordan Peterson. And I forgot how the fuck to use acronyms. All acronyms are just alphabet soup to me. Jordan Peterson, noted intellectual.
I don't.
Nikki Cine the Wave. Thank you or Nikki Cine Wave. Thank you for redeeming your points for an Ara Ara, you fucking monster. Also, Dark Fandango, thank you very much for redeeming your points for an Owl. Owl.
Regard pride as a virtue. It has been classically regarded as a sin. I don't see that sexual orientation or sexual desire of any sort is something to celebrate or to take pride in.
Never celebrate the fact that you desire your wife. May all the cummies in her belly rot because of you. Never celebrate the people you love. Ever.
And so what I said was merely a fact. Now, it's possible that I hurt someone's feelings because I pointed out that pride goes before, for example, a fall, but I don't care about...
Oh boy, howdy. Maybe he should be a little more careful when he uses the language he uses. Maybe he should actually look into the history of things like the Pridefall movement or the terrible attempts at doing shit like that. Maybe he should look into that before he says shit like this on the internet.
About that, would do it again. And also consider it my duty to warn those who are about to fall into a pit that the path they are on leads suddenly downhill.
Being trans leads suddenly downhill. And you don't see how that's potentially a problematic statement. You don't see it. Also, let's continue to play your specificity game, Jordan. What do you mean by downhill? What's downhill mean here?
But that was probably not the reason that I was banned from Twitter, although, as I said, I am in the position of having to guess.
No, you're not. You don't have to guess. We did that work for you. It's right here. It's right here. You do not have to guess, Jordan. Conveniently highlighted for people who know how to read. Right here. Right here. You can even press this little feedback button. It's very big. Yeah, it's impossible to know. It's impossible to understand what Twitter wants. It's impossible, Jordan. I agree. There's no way ever to look at the terms and services of an organization whose public terms and services you agreed to. Okay.
Next phrase to interrogate. And Ellen Page. Now, why did I stop there? Because in all likelihood, it was this seemingly innocuous phrase, including the name of a well-known actress, there I'm in trouble again, that likely resulted in my ban. I committed the fatal crime of what has come to be known in the appalling sensorial terminology of the insane activists as dead naming, which is the...
So you know the policy you broke. You probably did read this before.
act of referring to someone who has transitioned, another hated piece of jargon and slogan, by the name and by the inference, the gender.
Why do you hate the term transition? Why do you hate that? What? Also, this is a wonderful still image. He looks like he's in a fucking Law and Order episode like this.
Really the sex that everyone knew them by previously. And
no, if you know somebody by something, you know it because of social reasons. Therefore, you knew them by the gender. Don't play this game, Jordan.
in the case of Ellen/Elliot, that millions of people recognized it.
Just say Elliot. It's their name. You know what? No. We can play that game too. It's very easy. It's very easy, Jesse Peterson.
New. So I should have either called him, her, they, Elliot, instead of Ellen, although as we will discover, that would have made it impossible for me to say what I wanted to and need to say in the remaining phrases.
No, it wouldn't have. Guys have breasts too. Guys have breasts too. You literally could have, you can say, God, I'm fat. I have breasts. I have moobs. It's very easy to say guys have breasts, Jordan.
Not that such a problem would bother those who are objecting to my speech in the first place. The next phrase is, just had her breasts removed. This bit
His, but okay.
suffers from a very similar problem. I employed the forbidden pronoun her when Ellen, is now to be regarded as a he or else.
Well, it's because it's not an or else thing, Jordan. It's literally just a sign of respect. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be worrying so much about this. When Jesse Peterson blabbers on, as we know women in suits like this incessantly to do, as Jesse nags here towards us, maybe we should probably be talking about the fact that Jesse here should be more concerned about the rights that she just lost recently in the Supreme Court than bitching about Twitter.com. But I'm not going to do that misgendering joke for the entirety of the video, because it honestly makes me cringe to do it. The point is, language is very flexible. It's very easy. It's not an impossibility, as Jordan would have you say. It is not an impossibility to just say somebody's gender. It's not hard. It's not hard.
But there's a conundrum here, to say the least, and not just for me, although I have been banned because of it. Was Elliot/Ellen a she?
Just say Elliot. It's not hard.
Or a he, or Ellen or Elliot, when she or he or they, that's Elliot or Elliot, by the way, had his or her or their breasts removed? If he or she was a he, then why was it necessary to have the mastectomy?
Jordan. Very easy. Very easy to do this. Takes no effort. Takes no effort. Takes no effort at all. Jordan, what's this? What's this right here? What's this one? Obviously, Jordan can't fucking read because a Twitter terms of service was too difficult for him. We should probably start with some very basic verbiage instead. Maybe green eggs and ham. Ted Cruz seems to love that one. Paladin Lost, thank you for resubscribing. I appreciate it. For someone who supposedly likes to super intellect, this is a really dumb bit of molding. It is. Mixed Milo says, I'll probably be torn apart for this. Can you acknowledge that all the terminology would be confusing for someone outside of your bubble? Since you can't really say because it seems you can only talk about a positive way about the whole subject. I mean, here's the thing. It can be confusing at first, but Jordan's been having these conversations for more than 6 years now. Ever since he came out in public protest against Bill C-16 in Canada, he's been having this conversation. It's perfectly acceptable for the language to be confusing at first. It's perfectly acceptable for that to be something that's hard to understand in the beginning. But once it's been explained, it should be fairly easy. Like, for instance, if you're in a bubble of people who are generally racist and they call black people the N-word all the time, and you yourself grew up around that, and you have not learned that that term is offensive, it's just the term your family used to refer to a subset of people you've never met, the first time you say that word around those people will likely be the only time you need for it to be explained to you why that's not an okay thing to do. If it takes a handful of times, that's another thing entirely, but it's still not outside the realm of possibility. It's working your way out of your bubble. Why does he care about Canada? He is Canadian. But if you've gone outside of that bubble and you've had it explained to you, and it's something that's very, very basic, like using somebody's name, that's the tool you're using here. MX Milo, like, for instance, I'm saying MX Milo, but if you would prefer me to just say Milo instead of using the entirety of your display name, you need only say it once. And then I'll do my best to remember it. That's the exact same type of tool set that's being utilized here. Remembering somebody's gender is identical to remembering their name. You're just taking a social aspect of a person and using that to identify them. That's all. As a result, if you're well-versed in utilizing the tool of somebody's name to refer to them, I would assume that it's just as easy to utilize that tool to refer to somebody's gender, because it's the same thing. If you look at somebody who looks really, really androgynous and you say, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, and they go, oh, actually, I'm a guy. You don't really know if they've been born a guy or not, but they've told you that they're a guy, and that's all the information you need. From that point on, you just refer to them as a guy. Unless you do the really creepy thing of trying to go into their history and inspect their genitals, you're probably never going to know what's in their pants. And you shouldn't have to, because we shouldn't have to know what's in everybody's pants. Not to mention, there are people who are not born with the, quote, correct genitalia in any case. Intersex people exist, so we can't even utilize genitalia as that thing. So at the end of the day, it's just a name. It's the same tool set. Everyone figured out how to call people and respond to usernames is essentially the same thing. I don't see what's confusing. It's not really confusing, but that's the thing. Like, I can understand it being confusing at first. That first moment of shock where you're like, well, that's not your legal name, is it? But then when you remember that you've been using nicknames for people your entire life, the legal name stopped mattering at that point. You had a friend named William at some point who preferred to be called Will or Bill. All of the exact same stuff is in place. And yeah, like, I'll call game apologist Nick because he says his name is Nick at the beginning of everything, but like, he'll call me Suris because that's the name I use for myself and my channel. And that's just a really natural thing to do. But back to the video after we point out that guys get mastectomies too. All of them can get mastectomies. I, too, can get a mastectomy if I develop breast cancer. And I can.
How could those I'm writing to make sense of what I was saying if it was his breasts that were removed?
How many times are we just going to pop over to another tab? How many times will we easily just pop over to this other tab right here? Like, it's either the tab where we point out that guys get breasts cut off as well, or the tab with the highlighted point of the rule that he broke. How many times are we going to have to do this one joke?
Were those male breasts or female breasts that were removed?
Doesn't matter.
If they were male breasts, then why were they removed?
I don't know, Jordan. I don't know. Why were they removed? Why would a guy ever get breasts removed? I don't know. I can't think of any reason a guy would ever, in his life, potentially ever need a mastectomy. Oh, except for the myriad of health issues that can come with breast tissue that guys and girls both share, because turns out our bodies are not built that entirely differently.
If they were female breasts and had therefore become objectionable to the degree that surgery generally reserved for cancer treatment was required, was morally obligatory, then wasn't Elliot still Ellen? And
Wait. Can we do another one of these? Can we do another one of these? Can we do another one of these here? Oh, no. Gynomastia? You mean... Oh, no, you mean that male breast reduction is also a thing that happens with normal people in society? Jordan Peterson. Jordan, my guy, did you... Man, isn't it so weird that some of these surgeries are not just for one gender? My God, how absolutely buffoonish do you make yourself look, Jordan? It is so easy. 2-second Google search. I didn't know what the fuck that word was. I got curious. And lo and behold, I found it. Well, sirs, to be fair, it's not like it's freely available in... Fuck. Objection, you have a guy friend who wants to have massive tits. Wonderful.
he still she? How could I possibly have written that sentence in any sensible manner whatsoever while simultaneously making my point understandably.
That way. That way. Gynecomastia surgery. Male breast reduction surgery. It's almost as if it takes no time.
And not breaking Twitter rules against so-called hateful conduct. And Elliot Page just had his breasts removed.
Yeah, that happens to a lot of guys that aren't even trans.
Was he Elliot then?
Yeah.
When exactly? Exactly.
Doesn't matter when.
He was definitely Ellen at some point in the past.
Who cares?
Or so indicate all his, her, them, their film credits.
Who
All
cares?
those have to be reshot since they employed the hated dead name. That doesn't exist, by the way, that dead name category, except in the sensorial and addled minds of a tiny fraction of insanely narcissistic and increasingly dangerous trans activists.
Man, it's so weird when he describes himself, except for the word trans activist. Anti-trans activist, actually. It's really weird when he projects like that. But the term dead naming, yeah, the term dead naming necessarily exists mostly in the trans community, but there's plenty of people who would rather go by different names than a name they were given at birth. Everybody who's ever changed their legal name can tell you that dead naming is a thing, whether or not they are trans.
When precisely was it incumbent on me to switch my terminology in regard to Elliot/Ellen so that I was not engaging in hateful conduct? And how can I describe the fact that someone who was once a woman, and really still is, had her breasts cut off because she, he, they, their, them had fallen prey to a viciously harmful fad without using the appropriate sex-linked pronoun and the real name of the real person to whom this was really done with his, her, their voluntary but unfortunate acquiescence? And
so not only is Jordan against personal freedoms, because Elliot Page personally got a breast reduction because breasts caused gender dysphoria for him. Not only that, but he's got to deliberately make his language sound so confusing when it's super easy. Like, it takes no effort to just say a person's gender. It takes no effort, and yet it is astronomically impossible for him to actually do this.
so it was impossible to communicate what had happened to my audience
No, it
without
wasn't.
apparently running afoul of the impossible and absurd rules that now hypothetically govern morality itself in the days of the degenerated postmodern and Marxist ethos that we must still, no matter how impossible it is, abide by, or else.
How is it impossible? Like, I can show you how impossible it is. It's this difficult, okay? Watch. There. I've done it. I've just abided by the rules. Yeah, how is it Marxist? I don't fucking understand how it's Marxist. I have no idea how being transgender is somehow Marxist. Based if true, though.
And you might object. Ellen/Elliot is an adult, 30-something, and fully capable of making up his, her, their own mind about such things. And she, he, they are welcome from the liberal and the libertarian position to go to hell in a handbasket as she, he, they see fit.
Hey, look! There's that go to hell part. We found it. It's not... God damn it, Jordan. I don't want to spend this entire time just making fun of you for being a piss crybaby. I don't, but you've given me all the materials to do nothing but call you a pissing crybaby.
And fair enough, to some degree. But I don't believe it is either merely picayune or inappropriate to point out that Ellen/Elliot, who is quite a good actor/actress, is also a ritual model for emulation, being a star with all the privileges and, let us point out, the responsibilities that go along with that.
So Jordan Peterson recognizes the responsibility of having a platform, and yet he does the shit that he does all the time.
So by acquiescing to this surgery and by publicizing it and by insisting upon the sanctity and the moral virtue of his, her, their new, expensive, dangerous, and medically enhanced identity, and by participating in the whole identity charade.
Medically enhanced identity. Oh my god, I have never heard a man on the internet explain how small his penis was in so many words, but now I do. I'm gonna do that. When I'm talking about my micro dick, I'm gonna get angry and say that other people have medically enhanced identities. I am naturally tiny. I naturally can't please a woman. Jesus Christ.
Ellen/Elliot has undoubtedly, with his, her, their so-called courage, and remember, the White House itself has tweeted out every indication of believing in the courage of those who transition.
Yeah, because people like you exist. Like, you realize that you create the world that necessitates us saying that trans people have courage? Like, it shouldn't have to be a brave thing to come out as trans. It shouldn't. It should be the easiest thing in the world. Hey, Mom, so you know how you've been calling me Carl? I think actually Jesse would work better because I don't feel so good the way I look right now, but I feel a lot better in dresses. Boom. There you go. That whole conversation should be one of the easiest things in the world. That's not fair, Shadow. You're a medically enhanced hedgehog. That's why Amy chose you over me. And Rouge. And Styx the Badger. And she's basically our version of Alex Jones.
Entice many a poor, confused adolescent, girl most likely, to blame her emergent pubescent self-consciousness, confusion, and discomfort on being born in the wrong body and believing that the courageous, self-affirming, and morally admirable route is hormonal treatment, sterilization, subjugation to a lifetime of expensive medical complication. How delightfully profitable is that? And misery. And I believe firmly that Ellen/Elliot.
How delightfully profitable is that? It would be less profitable, Jordan, if trans-affirming healthcare were just a human right, or healthcare in general were just a human right. My nervous system doesn't reset when he says he, she, they. Jordan Peterson when he has to say he, she, they.
Elliot, or whatever the hell her name or his name is, bears moral culpability for that. And finally, with regard to the final phrase, criminal physician, I must say that I've had some post-coital, so to speak, regrets about that phrase. It is clearly the case that the surgical operation...
Post-coital regrets. That's a sentence. That is certainly a sentence. Jesus Christ. Post-coital. I actually have not heard... Oh! He's had some... He had sex and now he thinks differently. Okay, I'm glad. I thought that's what it meant, but I believed that there was no way that that could be what he meant. Yeah, post-nut clarity. Literally post-nut clarity. Oh my god. Yeah. He regrets it. His wife gave him a handy and he regrets it now.
Performed by the butchers who butchered Elliot/Ellen was legal. So, was it criminal or not?
It wasn't criminal.
Were the operations undertaken by the fascist physicians who carried out the...
Fascist physicians! You believe that that plastic surgeons are necessarily fucking palingenetic ultra-nationalists? Really? Fascist physicians?
Nazi medical experiments legal? Yes, under the laws of the time.
Okay, so he's talking about Nazis. Okay, that makes it a little better. That makes it a little better. He's talking about actual fascists. But it has nothing... Okay, look. Yes, the shit they did at the time as the Nazi Party was considered legal in Germany because it was made legal by the state. Yeah, that's how laws work. Congratulations, you get it. That doesn't suddenly make these things bad. At least here.
But were they criminal? I'll leave that question up to you to answer.
You leave that question up to your audience to answer because you're too much of a coward to answer it yourself. I will, however, answer it for you. It is not criminal to seek body modification.
And further, perhaps it might be objected, what about the damage done by hypothetically leaving those confused about their identity to dwell in their confusion? Aren't we morally obliged to intervene? And I would say, no. Why? Well, first,
Because you're a libertarian cuck.
do no harm, as the Hippocratic Oath, remember that, insists. And second, it has been a matter of historical consensus that sins of omission are less egregious than sins of commission. Thus, leaving someone with gender dysphoria, no matter how warranted, and perhaps it is in a very tiny minority of truly unfortunate cases, to suffer the consequences of the theoretical mismatch between soul and body is less of a risk ethically, personally, socially, and philosophically than the extremely active intervention that constitutes so-called gender confirming, another hated phrase,
Hated only by you. So the fact that medical professionals in the field you are not a part of, mind you, because you're a psychologist and a professor, and I'm just going to be a dick to you here. You do not want to know about the myriad of abuses that have happened in your particular field to get it to where it is today. Let's not talk about that for a moment. Let's instead talk about the fact that professionals in sociology and even even a lot of psychological professionals and medical professionals agree that you lower the rate of trans suicides, you increase their well-being by engaging in gender-affirming care. And this does not just end at, oh, you had the surgery, congratulations. It's also replacement therapy for hormones. It's also societal therapy. It's people affirming your gender around you. This stuff decreases the chance of suicide. To the one dipshit in the comment section who wants to type out, because I know you've already typed it out by now, that instead you think that it's better to change yourself than the world around you. Guess what? They did! They did! Definitionally, trans people have changed themselves. They fucking did that part. Now do yours, Steve. Bonbody looks like celery that's been out of the fridge too long. Liska Day Babbitt, thank you very much for redeeming your points for you fucking monster. Also, when he does the sins of omission thing, it's him literally saying that in response to the trolley problem, he would just want to never pull the lever, which means he is ideologically weak and should never be put in a position of leadership ever. He is unable, as a person with a platform, to make a hard decision. He would rather never pull the lever when presented with the trolley problem. And that's hilarious to me.
surgery. I might also point out that the trans surgery...
Yeah, not all trans people physically transition. Yes, Gloaming Dusk. But the minute they've changed their name, the minute that they have communicated to you that they've changed their gender, the minute they've done all of that, they've done the necessary change for you to do your part. It's very easy. Not all trans people physically transition, but they do socially transition.
Enterprise is now a $300 million per annum growth industry. Rate of projected expansion, 15% per year. Projected increase by 2027 to $750 million per year. An expanding enterprise in a time of global uncertainty. Time to invest, both in the requisite surgical skills and perhaps in any industry associated with this vicious and unconscionable fad, primarily entangling, as such things so often do, the youthful and female. Isn't that a concern, intersectionalists? Not when pushed.
Intersectionalists. No, actually, trans people being more represented in the population statistically, because trans people feel more comfortable coming out of the closet now. They have the words to describe their lived experiences. It is expected that that population amount will increase, and their needs medically would increase likewise with the amount of them that are now coming out. That's just how population dynamics work. Just like increasing the amount of any race into your population that potentially has a proclivity to particular diseases or has a proclivity to particular medical needs will increase the need to have facilities that can help them. It's the same thing, Jordan. And your weakness does not need to get in the way of doctors doing their jobs.
Push comes to shove, or ideology to scalpel. Is that not a true moral hazard? And I'm not taking down that tweet or acknowledging that my tweet violated the Twitter rules. Up.
But it did, and it's right there. Anyways. Oh no, he's gonna say the line. He's gonna say the line. He's gonna say Morbin time.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who. Twitter's a rat hole in the final analysis, and I have probably contributed to that while trying to use, understand, and master that horrible, toxic platform. No doubt, I owe some apologies for that, and I'm
He agrees that it's a horrible and toxic platform. At least we agree on that.
trying to learn, but it's a relief in some real sense to be banned, and I regard it under the present conditions as a badge of honor.
The man gets banned from Twitter and then changes his entire course of life. He is no longer going to be teaching students, which is a good thing. He's now going to be peddling propaganda to you on Daily Wire Plus. Never ever for a minute believe that any of these dipshits are victims. They take these situations that happen and spin them into advantage. The video was embarrassing. His entire life is embarrassing. But with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, because I want to measure the depth of every single drywall wall in my house with my forehead. I think it's very accurate and also cathartic, so long as I don't hit a stud. I just have to measure 16 inches every single time I do it. But unfortunately, I'm a guy, so I don't know what the fucking inch is. Anyways, with that said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I am embarrassed for Jordan, but hopefully you will not be too embarrassed to hit the subscribe button. Or, on top of that, maybe even potentially hop over to Patreon, hit the like button, any of that stuff. Big Genghis, thank you for subscribing. Different subscribe button, but that one works as well. Also, let's get a Babbitt, thank you for giving your points for an I don't know if I got it when it came in 6 minutes ago. I maybe didn't, but if I did, or if I didn't, up yours, woke moralist. We'll see who cancels who. Jesus Christ. That's going to be the new Morbin time. Now maybe we can get Jordan Peterson re-released in theaters to fail again. As always, everybody, insert end of video tagline here.